Mariners pitching prospect Brody Hopkins joins the show to discuss getting drafted, his journey to the pros, and of course, that time he jumped over the catcher to score in college, coming up here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. Let's sail.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Friday, May 24th, 2024. This is Tiny Gonzalez for the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is going to be shorter than usual, but I got the chance to visit with Mariners pitching prospect Brody Hopkins. It was a lot of fun chatting with him, and I hope you enjoyed. But before we get into that, shout out to our title sponsor today, FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn. That's LOCKEDON to get yourself started. And if you want to hear from me and my co-host Colby even more and help support the show, check out our Patreon. The link is in the description, and you can sign up for a free 7-day trial. All right, let's check in with Brody Hopkins. I'm here now with someone you guys know is one of my favorite prospects in the Mariners system. He was a 6th-round pick by the Mariners in last year's draft. He's currently pitching for Low A Modesto right now, having a great first year of pro ball. Brody Hopkins, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, Ty, thank you for having me.
So talk me through getting drafted last year, getting that call, what you did that day, all that.
It was a whirlwind because the beginning of the year, I didn't know if I still wanted to be a hitter or a pitcher, and it's like I get after the fall, I'm like, okay, I'm leaning more towards pitching, but I'm still hitting, and then I go the whole year. I threw like decently well. My walks were up, but I still had a lot of strikeouts, and I had to like on the draft prospect link portal, whatever. I had a bunch of like questionnaires, and then it came down like after the season I had 3 draft workouts where I thought I did pretty well, and then I talked to like 5 or 6 scouts after that, and then went to the draft combine in late June, and did like 5 or 6 meetings with teams, and I was still like I was talking to my agent, and we were going back and forth on where I thought or he thought I was going to go. And, I really wasn't sure. I talked to Terry McClure with, he was a scouting guy for the Mariners. I talked to him one time, and I was like, yeah, there's no way the Mariners are going to draft me. Like, I talked to the guy one time, and then I got a text that day. My family and I, we got together, at my uncle's house. He lives out in the country. We're all just hanging out. I was stressing because I was like, I hope I have Wi-Fi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because he lives out in the country. I'm like, I really hope I have Wi-Fi. But my agent texts me. He says, "Hey, Seattle is 9 picks away. What do you think?" And I said, yeah, let's do it. Like I'm ready to get going wherever. It doesn't matter to me. Let's do it. And yeah, so then. Yeah, that's really all that really happened. I mean, it was so crazy. It's like the year before, my sophomore year, I didn't think I was even going to get drafted. I thought I was going to have to spend like 4 or 5 years in college, and then 1 year I'm here.
So I've always been curious about this from like a player's perspective, because like for guys like me that talk about this stuff, it seems like the Mariners have built quite the reputation for themselves for developing pitching. When you like look at guys now in the bigs like Matt Brash and George Kirby and Logan Gilbert, etc. But is that something that like guys like you that are getting ready to get drafted have picked up on, have noticed, have kind of identified Seattle as a place that like you would want to go to, that you think can elevate your game and what you do?
It's funny you say that, because I was asked a question by my brother, who's also plays for the Tigers organization. He's like, where do you know anything about like organizations, like pitching organizations? Because he does it, because he's an outfielder. And I was like, man, I mean, you look around the league and you only see one team that has 4 homegrown pitchers in their top 5 rotation, and I was like, it's got to be Seattle that has the top pitching org. I mean, look at their starting rotation, and then Matt Brash, and then So, I mean, everybody is just homegrown pretty much, and it's just they're all really good. So I mean, it doesn't. It's not like it wouldn't add up for it to not be the best pitching org.
When did, just in general, like your love for baseball begin?
Well, I mean, I've always loved baseball. I've been around it my whole life. My brother has shown me every step of the way with it. But I I can say that my freshman and sophomore year of college, I fell off of baseball. I didn't love it anymore because of the not really necessarily like the place I was at, but just like my surroundings. And partially some of that's my fault, partially some of it's other things. But yeah, I mean, and then I get to Winthrop my junior year. I mean, I knew I had it in me. Like I was throwing 95, 97. I mean, I knew I had it in me. Like that's good
Mm.
stuff,
Yeah.
regardless of where you throw it. I mean,
Mm.
somebody can teach you how to throw it in the strike zone or fix something, tweak your mechanics a little bit to make you throw strikes. And so I get to Winthrop and I just fall in love with the pitching coach. I to this day will tell everybody that he is the reason I'm where I am today because he took the chance on me when nobody else would, and I will respect him for that for the rest of my life. Like I will wherever he needs, I will give it to him like I promised on that. But yeah, I mean, I knew I had it. And then I get to my first outing was South Carolina. I started against them and I was seeing 96, 98, and that's when I was like, yeah, I can do this. And then rest of the year I had that mindset and then ended up getting drafted.
And that's Austin Hill, right? Your pitching coach?
Yeah, Austin Hill.
What's the best piece of advice he gave you?
Just to be myself and to not let noise affect me. Just
Love
to
it.
keep my head down and I'm gonna be where I am today. That's what he told me.
More from my conversation with Brody Hopkins in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by Ibotta and Supply House. Spring is here, so it's out with the old and in with the new, but don't splurge on anything new without getting cash back in return when you use Ibotta. Ibotta is a free app that gives you the most cash back every time you shop on hundreds of items from groceries to beauty supplies to toys, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta user earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, that flight you've been eyeing, or that fancy dinner you've been craving. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much. With Ibotta, just add your offers in the app, upload your receipt, and get real cash that you can cash out to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. Join over 50 million users and earn cash back every time you shop from over 2,700 brands and retailers, including all your favorite grocery stores, Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and a whole lot more. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the promo code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play Store or App Store and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. I got to ask you about the time you jumped over the catcher to score in college, because that was one of my first introductions to you. And I mean, first, just an insane play, but second, like, what the hell? Like, what's going through your head there?
So This is actually it's like a funny story
Mm,
because so my the hitting coach last year at Winthrop, it was his first year, and he came late. He was like after the fall had ended, so he was like right at the beginning of spring. And he always told us, he was like, "Hey, if I ever give you this with like one out and you're on second base, if the ball's hit on the infield on the ground in the infield, to just score, to just keep going."
mm.
And so our head coach puts on a bump play, and I was like, "Okay." And I looked at him and I did this, and he shook his head no. And I was like, "Okay." So I saw it and it was perfectly to the third baseman. And so I kind of wrap around third base and I kind of slow up a little bit. And I was like, I'm fast enough. It's a first baseman making the throw. So I get like I'm running, and then like I kind of like as soon as I like get there, I like stutter step, and I didn't know what I was gonna do, and then I just my instinct just told me to jump, and I just jumped and cleared him.
That's
And like
insane.
you can kind of see it. I landed and I took my helmet off, and I kind of just sat there for a second because I was like,
Yeah.
"What the hell did I just do?"
Yeah, I noticed that when you take the helmet off and you kind of look back for a second and you're just like, huh.
Yeah, yeah. And then my dugout's going crazy, and I'm just like, "Oh yeah, let's go." I had no idea what just happened.
That's really sick. That's super sick. I also heard you did a backflip after running a 40-yard dash for the Padres. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even supposed to run. Um, but my agent, he was like, "Why not? I mean, you run a 6'3", why not?" And I was like, "You're right." So I did that. And this like young kid, I don't remember who he was, and he was like a young high schooler. He was talking about like everybody like how fast he was, and everybody's like nobody wanted to run against him because nobody wanted to look slow. And I was just a pitcher. What do I have to lose? It looks
Right.
bad on him if I win. And we were step for step the whole way. And then I just ended up doing that after. I mean, I don't know why or what possessed me to do it, but I guess I was just hyped for running that fast. And then I just did that.
More from my conversation with Brody Hopkins in just a moment, but first, a reminder this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on. That's LOCKEDON and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. You're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. I'm here with Mariners prospect Brody Hopkins. Brody, thank you again for hopping on here with me.
Yeah.
So you've got 7 pro starts under your
Yep.
belt so far. You're about to make your 8th. Is that tonight? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Nice. How do you feel about your year so far?
Could be better, could be worse. I mean, I'm nowhere near a finished product. I think everybody in our org knows that. But I mean, I feel like I've made jumps start after start after start. I feel like I'm understanding pitching. I keep falling in love with it every single day. Like I'm learning new stuff. I still don't know half of pitching. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like with our org, with our people telling us like this is what we need to do, this is what we go by. I'm just listening and doing what they're telling me to do, and it's showing.
What are you hoping to have accomplished by the end of the year?
Just having a really good strikeout to walk ratio, just being able to show that I can pound the zone and just that's really it. I mean, I
Mhm.
feel like I have the stuff. I feel like everybody knows I have the stuff, and that's all. I just need to command the zone, and that's all I want people to see by me at the end of the year is that I'm commanding the zone.
Yeah, and so far so good, I think, on that front. 35 strikeouts and I believe 28 innings pitched already. So doing pretty good over there.
Thank you.
How about going to spring training this year? I imagine, getting your first real taste of pro ball and wearing that Mariners jersey was pretty special.
Oh yeah, it was sick. I mean, I only threw like 4 or 5 times because I was supposed to throw in the spring breakout game, and then it got canceled and then it got
Right,
pushed
yeah.
back. So it's like, but I mean, I loved being around everybody. I mean, you meet everybody, you meet big leaguers, and they're like I met Julio one time, and he was just I would expect him to be completely different than what like I got, and it was the sickest thing ever.
Yeah.
And like I was kind of like damn, I'm kind of a fan, but it's like, no, it's Julio Rodriguez. Like it was sick.
Did you get to, get the chance to pick the brain of any big leaguers while you were there?
I asked Bryce Miller like one question. I mean, we didn't really get to see each other that much, but like he got there a little earlier, so it was during when we were doing like shove camp and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just asked him what he like thought about, because like in my bullpens, it's like a little different than in the game. Like I don't have that competitiveness to me that I do in the game. And I was asking him, I was like, what do you do like to like stay competitive in bullpens and in like live at bats when no one's watching? Like what do you do? And he was just telling me that you gotta treat everything like it's a World Series game. And I was like, hey, I mean, I'll do that and see if it works. And I mean, my velo was going up in bullpens, and then it was going even harder in lives and in game.
We had Jerry DiPoto on the show a couple months ago, and I had to ask him about you because, again, very big fan of you, and I know Jerry's a very big fan of you, and of course his face lit up when he heard me say your name, and he told us a story about how Jonny Farmelo challenged you to a race in spring training, and you actually ended up beating him. So I'm curious, has there been a rematch since? Has Johnny gotten his salty run back yet?
No, so Johnny will never admit that I'm faster than him, but we have this ongoing thing whenever he steals like like second or third, because he does it every game and it's unreal. Like he floats. Like he hit a leadoff triple yesterday, and I swear I looked up and he was on third base. And it's just like, I always tell him, I'm like, man, hey man, how does it feel to be the second fastest man in the org? And he just starts laughing. But I mean, he just wanted, like, I love that about Johnny too. It's because like he wants that competitiveness. He wants to get better. Like that's just about, like, Johnny is one of the most hardworking people that I've ever seen, and it's like he wants to get better and he loves it. And it just sucks that he has to come in second every time.
Right. Of course, we got to get you to race Julio next.
Oh man, I don't know about that
one. Tell me about Laz Montes. Like, what's it like watching that guy hit in person?
I don't even know how to explain it. It's like, those moments in baseball games where you're like, damn, it'd be really cool if this dude went deep right here.
Yeah.
Like, he does it. Like he literally does it. Yeah. Like whenever you think like, oh, this would be cool, he does it. And he's one of the most genuine like people I've ever met in my life too. He's so nice. But it's like once you hit that, like when another team hits that switch on him, it's like game over. But it's like to his teammates, he's the nicest person ever.
That's sick. Who is your funniest teammate?
Michael Arroyo.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
By far.
What like sets him apart from everyone else?
It's just I don't even know how to really explain it. There's a mic'd up coming out with me. I was mic'd up a couple of days ago, and he was next to me the whole time. So you'll understand what I can't really explain it, because it's just like Michael Arroyo, but like when you see it, you'll understand.
All right, cool. Well, I really appreciate you doing this, man. This was a lot of fun. Again, like I said, big fan of you. Wishing you nothing but the best this rest of the year. Looking forward to seeing you rise through the minors and hopefully in the big leagues one day.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And that's going to do it for our show. But before I sign off, a reminder that Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. I've been your host, Ty Dane Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Ty Dane Gonzalez and my co-host Colby at CPAT11, that's CPAT11. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.